Hi Pisces, welcome to your June 2019 love reading. It's Raina here. Just shuffling the cards. I'm consolidating my two love readings that I was doing separately. So this is for everybody who is, whoa, did not want to do that. Who is looking for love. And, you know, just when I say looking for love, I mean you could be in an unhappy marriage and looking for love. But, you know, you still are like, and I'm not talking about with your current relationship where you don't plan to stay. Sometimes people want to make their marriages better, their primary relationships. Sometimes they know that relationship is toast, but they can't seem to get out of it. So this could kind of explore that, or being single and just looking for a relationship. I wish I could make like very light-hearted, simple readings. It seems like they always get bogged down in all this other stuff, but what can I do? I keep trying every month. Maybe one day I'll get there. The heart of the matter is the Hermit. So this is a time of soul searching for you. If you're in a relationship, Pisces, you may be facing the music of what is going on. Maybe you're in denial. And what I mean by facing the music in a relationship, if you're in a relationship and you love your husband, wife, partner, you may notice that that other person doesn't seem to reciprocate. They're not doing the same for you. And you want them to, but you can't change other people. You can't force them to. In some cases, you may be dealing with addiction or infidelity in the other person. And that is not, you know, even if somebody is being faithful to you, if they have a substance abuse problem, they can't be a partner to you, even if they want to be. They can't, because it's just too, it's a form of abandonment. You can't have a relationship, a satisfying relationship with somebody who's always under the influence. You just can't. Doesn't mean that they're a bad person. Just means that you won't feel that sense of fulfillment, because you will feel like you're alone, basically. So that could be a problem, and you have to kind of decide, what am I going to do? Maybe you ignored it for a long time. Or infidelity. And even with infidelity, I don't believe that in 100% of cases, people who are cheating don't love their partner, as twisted as that sounds. I really don't. I think sometimes people have sex addictions, or they have some kind of, what would you call it, you know, low self-esteem that they try to boost by being attractive to other people. And they don't realize that that's not a healthy way to feel good about yourself. So all of those things notwithstanding, you are very contemplative. If you're single, maybe you've just been alone for a long time and you haven't been out there dating. If you're, you know, you might be a widower, so you're kind of like being more serious and contemplative, philosophical about life itself and the temporary nature of life. If you're younger, if you're in your 20s and you're a hermit, maybe it's because you're a Pisces. I don't know. You know, seriously. But I would say too that in a lot of cases it could be because of a reaction to a former relationship that has made you think like, okay, I need to look at myself, look at my own life, my own responses, how I do things, because I don't want to repeat these patterns. It could be something along those lines. In the past position, we have the Magician. And I think that this goes along with that, because the Magician is a card of resourcefulness and taking the initiative. So to me, what this suggests is somebody who is being very proactive in their own life, being very independent. And I would go, if you're alone right now, what that would tell me is that you have learned to be alone. Maybe you used to really struggle with codependency. Maybe you really struggled with issues surrounding, like dependency itself, like being dependent on a partner because you weren't working and they were working, and so they started controlling you with money, and you said, you know what, I can't have this, and you got a job, and then that made you just really blossom and take off, and perhaps you literally took off and you left the relationship. But in any case, it's a great place to be because it shows a sense of strength and relying on yourself, not relying on other people, which is really how it should be. The higher message is the 9 of Wands. This could be that you finally have set some boundaries in your life, Pisces. Perhaps you have seen patterns and you have said, I don't want people walking all over me. So you see it ahead of time. If you meet somebody and they seem like perfect, and then little by little they start to say little things that are not nice, or they start to make demands that are unreasonable, you notice it well in advance, and you can distance yourself from those types of people because you know that it's just a progressive thing. And you can see, you've seen that movie before, so you know how it ends, And so, in other words, with the 9 of Wands, there's a sense of the fortress. Now, in some cases, you have to be careful that you don't have so much of a wall up that it could lead to not being receptive to another person because you're so afraid of getting hurt. So I'm not saying that it's going to be a good thing all the way around. Sometimes anything can get excessive. However, what I'm saying is that this could be something that is quite good for you, where it is that sense of autonomy that is needed for you to become a more a stronger individual within yourself. Also, there may be a fire sign person that is around you, an Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, who is protective, who would be a good partner. Maybe you see them in a friendship role. And part of this, sometimes, I'm not going to say this is all the time, but sometimes when people put certain people into categories of like, oh, that person is my friend, it's because they are not looking at life from the perspective of this person is good for me. Their tendency is to think that romantic partners are people that they are just like really physically attracted to, and if they're not really automatically physically attracted to somebody, then they're in the friend category. So it's really about rearranging what makes you feel a certain way. What crosses you is represented by the Ace of Wands, and this is a card of, new beginnings, and perhaps that feeling of, okay, everything is, at the beginning, starting gate, it's going off really great and stuff like that. And here it is, there's something that isn't quite going. The Ace of Wands is like the springtime, the start of the newness of a relationship, the very beginning of it, but that feeling of euphoria to me, or just excitement. And in the challenge position, Pisces, this could indicate that the timing may not be quite right for this relationship, especially if it's with this fire sign individual. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong on either end, that there aren't feelings there, but there might be residue emotions, because we do have here, see, Vice, the Five of Cups. This is a card of mourning, the loss of something. So just like with the Hermit, I'm talking about, you know, if you are a widow or widower, you know, you may want a new person in your life, but you may not be ready for it. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. This position right here, that's like kind of like the challenge position. The challenge doesn't mean that it's impossible to occur. It just simply means that you're somebody who is, you know, going through a process, and you have to honor the process. If you are, if there's somebody that you do care about, I'm thinking about that Nine of Wands individual, they may be going through something too. And they may like you, but they're still sad. They're still feeling that sense of disappointment that something that they had hoped for didn't work out. And, you know, trust that something will happen when it's the right time for it. The outcome is the Four of Wands. This is a card of domestic bliss, of happy home, new home, marriage. But Wands, there's a sense of happiness. I mean, well, I was going to say enthusiasm, whereas a sense of joy. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, is joy. Again, it could be with a fire sign individual. And this lifts your spirits, you know. The Five of Cups can be a gloomy card a little bit, you know, because the person is getting out those emotions that are, you know, sad, and feeling that sense of disappointment. The Hermit isn't something gloomy, but is very serious, is very quiet. And the Four of Wands is a bright card. That's why there's a yellow background. The fire energy. Yeah, maybe it's with an Aries person. The Magician can be connected to Aries. Of all the fire, I'm talking about of all the fire signs. So I don't know, but it's a sense of almost like a childlike type of joy that lifts your spirits and reminds you of what it means to really feel alive. So that's wonderful, Pisces. So I'm going to pick a card from the universe has your back. You know, it's funny. I got a little bit, I don't know if you noticed, I got a little bit distracted as I was doing this reading, because I realized, oh my gosh, I did not pick a card, and I didn't pick one of these cards for Scorpio, the reading I did right before you, and I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm going to read this to you, and let's see if we can make connection to this reading. Thank you, universe, for helping me see beyond the limits of fear. Thank you for expanding my perceptions so that I can see what is of the highest good. That's wonderful. I'm really resonating with these cards now. When I first got the deck, I used them right away, and for some reason, every time I picked a card, I just did not feel it. And now I'm really feeling it. And so what I would say about this is, yes, about fear. Fear of having the same thing happen again. Of course, that's going to be very daunting to get over that type of memory, because it is a memory. You know, you're always thinking about the things that happened that were not good. And, oh my gosh, will that happen again? And the more that you can be able to see beyond the fear, and that's what they say. Thank you for expanding my perception so I can see what is of the highest good. And this includes relationships, perceiving relationships as they are. And if you are, for instance, if you are in a marriage right now that you know is not as it should be, and you have tried to make it work, and you really know that it takes two, and so you assume that eventually you're going to have to leave this relationship because you can't just fix it on your end. The Five of Cups can be mourning that loss, and that might be why you can't start a new relationship, because you've got to deal with this. And so this is why I said before, I wish I could just make these light readings where I'm saying, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and just be very lighthearted and not make it about any kind of work that you have to do. But I can't, because we do have to do the work in this lifetime. And it doesn't have to be drudgery. It can be exploration, and it can be learning more about ourselves. That can be very exciting. But it can feel like work. It can feel very heavy when we are in resistance to taking responsibility. Luckily for you, Pisces, I think that with the Magician card, you are starting to see that it all begins with you. It begins and ends with you. That you create your own reality. Okay, that's what I have for you, Pisces. If you'd like a personal reading, please check me out. The link is below. Take care. Bye.